I was going to hold this off and make a scripted video, but it seems like events have escalated into a situation where I need to make a statement about this to the VidMe community because it seems that some people simply don't understand how certain things work, like intellectual property rights and the difference between the Content ID system on YouTube and DMCA claims, which I can assure you are two very different things. I'll leave a link in the description that will explain the process for you guys, because I really don't want to bother to go into the whole thing here, but for the biggest issue though is that there's the trademark, copyright, and patents and trade secrets. These are all four completely different kinds of intellectual property rights, something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, trademark is like logos and brand names. Copyright is like a created work that protects the created works. Patents are basically just for inventions. And, trade secrets are, of course, exactly what you would think. They're not the same thing at all, though. I mean, you could probably trademark fashion, I think, but for the most part, when it comes to the appearance of a character, it would fall under copyright law. But if it's a logo associated with a character, it would probably be a trademark. It gets a bit confusing. There's a bit of an overlap. Also, I need to address the issue of fair use, because there's a lot of misconceptions about that. If you use someone else's content, it's not automatically fair use. In fact, even if you make like fan art of something, but it's clearly that thing, that's a derivative work, not transformative. And it would not be considered legal for you to do that as long as someone actually cared, that is to say. A lot of the time, though, people don't bother to enforce their copyrights because they can't reasonably do so, because a lot of people just use their art and their avatars like they're on different websites or Skype or Discord. And that's fine. I don't think anyone's really going to give a damn anyway. But there are artists out there who don't seem to understand that if you upload something to the internet, well, yes, it is protected by international copyright law. You cannot legally enforce that copyright, as you have to register it with the Copyright Office of your nation of origin, which is something that a lot of people don't seem to quite get. Now, of course, different websites are going to have different rules about intellectual property rights, and you will be able to remove things from those sites, but that's only because it's within the range of their rules and not the actual law. So, yeah, there's a difference between that as well. I think that's everything. So, just remember that you need to get the full story before claiming that people are censoring you, before claiming that VidMe is worse than YouTube. And, oh yeah, there is one more thing. There is no such thing as a safe haven for fair use because of how safe harbor works. There is a slight rule in the law that happens to say that there is a slightest bit of an obligation to remove content once a properly filed DMCA claim is received. Although, judging by that transparency report that was once on Zipcast, it does have to be properly filed in order for it to consider. You can't just send them a Photoshop image or a JPEG file, or I don't know what exactly the deal was, but it wasn't a proper DMCA proof of ownership. Because I guess there's a proof of ownership thing that the DMCA requires or something. I'm not up to 100% on that. But I implore you people to look this stuff up yourselves. Because it is really important that instead of complaining without understanding what you're complaining about, that you actually do the research. Because otherwise, it's going to be looking very bad for you. Because VidMe staff does know how copyright law works. They're obligated to know how copyright law works. And they're not going to agree with you on this matter. That you're claiming that, oh, I have to give you my personal info. Yeah, that's how the law works. That's how the law works. Don't like it? Take it up with the Supreme Court. You have to give them the personal info because that is how you legally file a DMCA counterclaim. So yeah, do the research. Then if the research shows that they are indeed in the wrong, then you can start complaining. But just remember that your research comes from verifiable sources, which occasionally can be Wikipedia sometimes, although I would advise you to look up actual legal documentation on like .edu or .gov websites. Or just any site that looks like professionally made that specializes in law. But yeah, I think that's actually it this time. So until next time, stay determined.